The clinic called to confirm my follow-up appointment, and I said, "What follow-up? You told me everything went fine." The nurse went quiet for 3 seconds too long. "Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to Dr. Hensley's office." I was 19. I'd had the procedure 6 weeks earlier at a clinic 40 minutes from my apartment because I didn't want to run into anyone I knew. My boyfriend drove me. He held my hand in the waiting room and told me we were making the right decision. We'd talked about it for weeks. We weren't ready. I was barely keeping my scholarship. He was working nights at a warehouse. We could barely feed ourselves. The procedure took 20 minutes. They said everything looked normal. I bled for a few days, then nothing. I went back to class. Back to my life. Back to pretending the hardest decision I'd ever made was behind me. Then this phone call. Dr. Hensley picked up, and his voice had that careful, measured tone doctors use when they're about to say something that changes everything. "Your post-procedure labs showed some irregularities. We'd like you to come in for an ultrasound. It's likely nothing, but we want to be thorough." I drove there alone because my boyfriend was at work, and I didn't want to scare him over what was probably nothing. It wasn't nothing. The ultrasound tech moved the wand across my stomach and stopped, then moved it back, then called someone else into the room. "You're still pregnant, approximately 14 weeks." I heard the words, but they didn't land. They just floated around the room like someone else's weeks. "I Harlan, that's not possible. I had the procedure. The procedure was incomplete. It appears the pregnancy continued." I stared at the ceiling, counted the tiles, lost count. Started again. Why didn't anyone catch this at my follow-up? "According to our records, your follow-up was scheduled, but you didn't attend. Nobody told me I had a follow-up. I was told everything went fine, and to call if I had concerns." She pulled up my chart. The follow-up had been scheduled internally, but the confirmation was never sent. No call, no letter, no email. The system flagged it as a missed appointment, and nobody followed up on the missed follow-up. I sat in my car in the parking lot for an hour, called my boyfriend. He didn't answer. Called my mom. She didn't know about any of it. I hung up before she picked up. I went home and sat on the bathroom floor with my knees pulled to my chest, trying to figure out how I was supposed to make this decision again, when the window for making it was almost closed. My boyfriend came home at midnight, smelling like cardboard and sweat. I told him. He sat down on the edge of the tub and put his head in his hands. "So what do we do?" "I don't know." "Can you still?" "Maybe. I have to find out. It depends on the state limits." I called 3 clinics the next morning. 2 said 14 weeks was within their range. 1 had an opening in 4 days. I booked it. Then I spent those 4 days unable to sleep, unable to eat, unable to stop thinking about the fact that 6 weeks ago I'd already made this choice and grieved it and accepted it and moved forward, and now I was being asked to do it all over again because someone forgot to send a confirmation email. My boyfriend asked me on the 3rd night if I wanted to keep it. Not in a pressuring way, in a broken way, like he was trying to hold every possible version of our future in his hands without dropping any of them. "Do you?" I asked. "I want whatever you want." That's not an answer. I know. I went back to the clinic. Different one this time. The doctor was a woman around my mom's age with kind eyes and steady hands. She reviewed everything. Confirmed the first procedure had failed. Confirmed I was now at 15 weeks based on updated measurements. "This happens more than people realize," she said. "Incomplete procedures, failed follow-ups, patients who aren't told what to watch for. You did nothing wrong." I cried so hard, I couldn't see her face. She talked me through every option. I chose what I chose. She held my hand when it was over and said, "This time it's done. I'm going to make sure of it." The follow-up was scheduled before I left. I received a call, a text, and an email confirming it. I went back 2 weeks later. Everything was clear. I filed a complaint against the original clinic. Their response took 3 months. They admitted the follow-up notification was never sent due to a system error. They offered me a refund of the procedure cost and a written apology. My boyfriend and I stayed together for another year before we didn't. Not because of what happened. Because we were 20 and 23, and we'd been through something that ages you in ways you can't explain to anyone who hasn't lived it. I finished my degree, got a job, got a better job, started therapy at 24 because I kept waking up at 3 and doing math in my head about how old a child would be if the first procedure had failed and the second one hadn't happened. I'm 27 now. I don't regret my choice either time. What I regret is that I had to make it twice because a clinic couldn't be bothered to send a goddamn email.